Hello, my name is Amber Lara, and I'm going to be doing the topic solving quadratics by factoring. So I'm going to be doing two equations here, and I have the first equation already written out, which is x to the second plus 16x plus 55 equals 0. So the rule that we use to um, factor equations like this is which two numbers add up to 16 and multiply to 55. So whatever number, so we have our x to the second, but we're just going to ignore that because we're going to have an x here, obviously, and an x here, so that will make x to the second. But we need to figure out what adds up to the piece that has the variable and then multiplies to the piece of the equation that is just a solid number. So when you first look at this, you might think, well, 16 and 55 don't really have a whole lot in common. If you multiply 16 by 5, you're not going to get 55. The 6 and 5 are pretty difficult to get to be equal, but the thing is that we're not going to multiply both of them. We're going to add one of them and then multiply one of them, and they should equal out. So we have an x here, an x here, and we don't know, well, we know that because we have no negatives here, we don't need any negative signs. So we know that this is going to be x plus something. Well, what two numbers add up to 16 and multiply to 55? Well, a lot of numbers can add up to 16, but what numbers can multiply up to 55? Well, we know that we have 5 times 11. 5 plus 11 equals 16. So our numbers are going to be 5 and 11. But we can't stop there. This isn't our answer yet. So we have x plus 5 times x plus 11. So let's write that down here because we want it to cancel out. We want it to equal to 0. So we're going to end up splitting these two sections with parentheses into two sections. So we're going to look at x plus 5 equals 0 and x plus 11 equals 0. Let's look at x plus 5 equals 0 first. So we have x plus 5 equals 0. Well, we can ignore these parentheses because now it's just a simple equation. We don't have to worry about this right now. So if we want x to equal something, we need to get this on the other side, or else we don't know what x is. We don't have a definite answer. So we need to cancel this out. So we have x minus 5. So now we have nothing but x on the left side of our equation, and we need to subtract 5 from this side. So now we have x equals negative 5. So we could have done that down here, but we know that one of our answers is x equals negative 5. And that's why you still have to take that extra step, even though you have these factored out already. You still have to cancel it out and finish the problem, which is something a lot of people forget. So we're going to do the same exact thing over here. So we want to get rid of this 11. So we have x equals something definite. So we have x minus 11. We're going to cancel that out. X equals negative 11. And all we're doing is replacing this 0 with these two. So now the 0 is gone. So we know that our second answer is going to be negative 11. Therefore, x equals negative 5 and negative 11. So here is our second problem, and our second problem is y to the second minus 4y minus 165, I forgot to put equals 0, because you have to have an equal sign for these to end up canceling stuff out. So this one's a little bit more difficult when you look at it. 4 and 165 don't seem to have a whole lot in common, but again, we're not just multiplying anything or dividing anything. So it eventually is going to cancel out with each other. So there are a lot of different ways that you can multiply up to negative 165. There is 33 times negative 5, but 33 plus negative 5 isn't going to add up to negative 4y. So it might take a little bit of time, but it won't take 10 minutes. You will eventually figure out which numbers will add up to negative 4 and equal to negative 165. So the numbers that we have are, well, yes, we could do with smaller numbers, but again, we have to multiply it to 165. So the numbers that I ended up getting was negative 15 plus 11. Using a mouse pad, so it's a little bit messy. So negative 15 plus 11 equals negative 4. Well, what is negative 15 times 11? Well, if you use a calculator, then it's super easy, but negative 15 times 11 is equal to negative 165. Cool, so we have negative 15 and 11. So we have y and y. And you can put these on either side. I'm going to put negative 15 first. And plus 11, you have to make sure that you don't put two negative signs, or else that'll turn into a whole different equation. So we need to look at these two parts of the equation that equal 0 into two different parts. So first we're going to look at y equals negative 15 equals 0. And y plus 11 equals 0. So we need to get y equals something definite so that we have y on the left side of the equation and a number on the right side of the equation. So to do this, we just cancel out this negative 15. And then we added 15 to one side. What you do to one side, you have to do the other. So now we have y equals 15. So one of our answers is y equals 15. Our second answer, we're going to do the same thing. We just need to cancel this out. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Y equals, we're done with this 0 now. Y equals negative 11. So our second answer is y equals 15 and negative 11. And don't forget that negative sign.